Hi, Prajwal. Like, thanks for coming, and I'm glad that this happened. I remember meeting you, Raman's grandmother's funeral, so and I suggested let's do this. So thank you for making the time. And let's start by talking about your life because for me, one of the things is that people living outside Sikkim, in the sense they have a objective view also sometimes of Sikkim. Like you get a clarity from a distance also. And so, but I just wanted to also talk to you about like what it means for you to live away from, in a way, home, but probably your home is New York now. You consider that as your home. So, is there like family kind of pulls, like responsibilities that are pressurizing you to come here, or do you feel any kind of a sense of um, something that you need to do over here, or those kind of like pulls from when you're living back there?
Uh, See, thank you so much for having me here. It's really wonderful to be here. I live between New York and Sri City these days. Sri City is a tiny town about 2 hours from Chennai.
Hmm.
I teach at a university there. One of the reasons I accepted the job offer was so I could frequently come home.
Hmm.
And yeah, I may say I live between two places, but the idea of home has firmly been Gangtok for me.
Okay.
And I realized this the hard way. I tried writing fiction based in a lot of places,
Hmm.
but I failed at it spectacularly. So yeah, my parents still live in Gangtok.
Hmm.
I try to come as frequently as possible. I complain about a lot of things, but I also think that there are many things we're doing well in Gangtok.
Yes, sir.
Uh, uh, I am a big user of the helicopter service between Bagdogra and Gangtok because I'm not a big fan of the horrendous roads. I know the roads get repaired and then they snap up in no time. So yeah, there are these complaints. I complain about street dogs in Gangtok. I am an animal lover, but I think it's quite dangerous to be out in the streets of Gangtok at 4:30 or 5 in the morning
Hmm.
because I mean you have these packs of dogs who reign supreme in the streets of Gangtok.
So you are up in the morning, 4:35 sometimes?
Well, I try to be, I pretend I get up early in the morning so I can go on walks, but I use that as an excuse. There are so many dogs in Gangtok
Hmm.
that you sort of don't feel safe at 4:35 in the morning, especially when you go to the Pangtang area. All right,
Hmm.
but it's still home. I love it. I miss it terribly when I'm not here,
Hmm.
and it's good to be back. I try coming to Gangtok at least 4 to 5 times a year.
4 to 5 times. Okay,
Four to
that's
five times.
okay.
I These are for very short trips.
Hmm.
I'm hoping that
This is
changes.
from Chennai, or even before you would try to
Uh,
come and work?
Before Chennai became a part of my life, I was between Paris and New York. I was doing 2 times a year,
Hmm.
2 times a year for slightly longer stretches. It's now 4 to 5 times. I come for about a week at a
Hmm.
stretch.
Okay, okay.
Uh, so I've been in Gangtok for about 3 weeks on this
Hmm.
trip.
Hmm.
It's been
It's the
marvelous.
longest you think, yeah.
Yeah, the weather has been awful, but
Hmm.
it's been
Hmm.
great.
And Paris, what you were working there? You were.
I was teaching at a university called Sciences Po.
Hmm.
Again, I was teaching creative writing, and I was there for about 2 years.
Hmm.
It was a good experience.
Hmm. Okay, so Prajwal, I wanted to explore this idea of identity because something that I'm also curious about. And I find in my own mind, because whenever I traveled, I was in Europe for some time, and when somebody asked me like where you're from, I would always try Sikkim first. And if they didn't kind of know, then I'd go with Himalayas or Nepal, Bhutan. So I found it very hard to say that I am, though I had an Indian passport, because I don't want to be clumped with the rest of this huge country. Somehow it felt, and sometimes the more I think of it, like the further away you get from home, you identify more with, like, if I in Delhi, I might say that, okay, I'm from Sikkim, but if I am from if I'm in America or Europe or South America somewhere, so even Himalayas or Asia also becomes an identity, so
Sure, yeah.
and I'm just thinking, if I go to Pluto, like, I might be that, okay, I'm from Earth.
Mhm.
So this whole idea about, like, identity and the relativeness of this identity, you know what I mean? Like,
I do, I do.
is this something that you want to kind of
Of course, I am the wet dream of an identity crisis academic. Okay, so let's talk about this. I come from Church Road, Gangtok, the son of a father whose family originally comes from Kalimpong,
hmm,
a mother whose family comes from Nepal.
hmm,
All right. So yeah, it's growing up. I've done the entire distancing myself from Nepal. The uh, 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 in Sikkim and the Darjeeling Hills, we often have to talk about our nationality every time our ethnicity is mentioned.
hmm.
Okay. And then there is this entire thing that happens in Nepal where being thought of as an Indian is the worst thing that can happen to a Nepali. It's hey, and I, by a twist of fate, I happen to be the offspring of a parent from India and another parent from Nepal. So you make peace with your various identities by writing about it, is what I jokingly say. Okay, but yeah, I've had my fair share of struggles. My bio in The Gurkha's Daughter reads Prajwal Parajuly is the son of a Nepali mother and a Nepali speaking Indian father. A number of people have had problems with that. People often ask me, why not simply say you're an Indian writer?
Hmm,
To which I say, but that's so boring. That completely obliterates so many layers of who I am.
hmm,
I'm extremely proud of the fact that, I am the son of a person from here, of another person from there, and so on and so forth. And why should I try concealing that?
hmm,
Uh, but if I'm saying that with a lot of conviction right now, it's because I've done my fair share of introspecting and my fair share of distancing myself from one identity while fully embracing another.
hmm,
Mm, I may be from India, but I may get goosebumps when I hear the Jana Gana Mana. But that doesn't mean I feel as safe in a big Indian city as I do in Kathmandu.
hmm,
And that's fine.
hmm,
And that's fine. And you could have these various identities coexist
hmm,
peacefully.
hmm.
So, yeah, I does that answer your question?
Yeah, kind of like there are other aspects of this also. Like, you touched upon your Nepali ethnicity,
Mm-hmm.
and I sometimes I wish, long for somebody who's not going to be too freaked out by us talking about, like, say you are a bound, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to. Sometimes I think also in terms of, like, I'm a Newar.
Mm-hmm.
My great grandfather came from Bhaktapur.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a word of Newari,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't take part in this Newar Indra Jatra celebration. Somehow I feel I am Sikkimese first.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow so, like, that's why I wanted to talk about this thing. So sometimes when you think about these ethnicities, especially, I worked in Bhutan for 5 years. I came back in about 2010, and I remember as kids, while growing up during the monarchy time, so the word Sikkimese was, in a way, it was reserved for the Bhotias classes. So we are even we won't call ourselves Sikkimese. Like, so. But when I came back from Bhutan, and then, okay, at the same time, Nepal, the whole Nepali group had been divided into OBC and, some different kinds of OBC and ST and this and that. So I was like, so what am I? I mean, I Newar, and I don't feel really Newar. So I thought that, okay, forget all this stuff. I'll just start simple, just keep it simple. I'll start calling myself Sikkimese. So, and
Sure.
then I felt that that was okay. Uh, but then again, like politically and in terms of like reservation, economically, things are like divided up, and you are segregated into different things. And the most disenfranchised, I mean, for reason of no reason, is what called the NBC, like the three of us in this room, so the Newar, the Bond, and the Chettis, so they don't have any reservation. And I feel okay, rightly so, because maybe we've come from privilege. And when I think of the Bounds and what is their supremacy in terms of they are very well, they're more articulate, they're well educated, they're more intelligent, they seem to have better jobs. In Nepal, they have all political power. So, and I keep thinking that it must be that the Bounds were actually at the time when nobody knew how to read. So they were, in a way, the people who were literate. So they read the religious scripts. So even if there are no other books, but at least they knew how to read and write, they knew the alphabet. So is this something that you think is the bound kind of identity, or in a way where they are in society, like they are much better placed? Is it because they come from this pedigree of literacy?
I think so. I also think bounds are responsible for almost all the issues plaguing our society today.
Really?
All right, my forefathers, I mean, they came up with all this. They came up with the caste system. They came up with all the ostracization. I mean, they had to do what they had to do in order to establish their place in society, I'm guessing. But see, we spoke about our various identities. My bound identity is the one that I least connect with.
Mm.
And what you said about not being able to participate in Indra Jatra for the simple reason that you don't know the language, you don't know Newari well, resonates with me a little, because, yeah, I have been a beneficiary of my Bawan identity. I mean, the fact that I received an education, the fact that my ancestors were well educated, has stood me in good stead. Yeah, that is definitely there. But I cannot really connect with the politics of being a Bawan that much.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Uh, there is so much of Brahmanism that is dominated by exclusionary practices.
Mm.
And uh, and I do think that the innate sense of superiority that most Brahmins feel on account of being Brahmins is highly misplaced. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Mm.
We will likely revisit
Yeah.
this later in the
Yeah.
conversation, but yeah.
Yeah, so why I was asking also, this morning I was reading something, I think it's came in the Nepal, somewhere in the Nepal feed, that the bounds were also, so actually somebody was denigrating somebody, that how can people be so immoral, and me being a bound, like so the bounds in a way were also, they didn't eat meat, they didn't drink, they were much more in a way ethically careful with their lives, I think. So in a way they were meant to be the standard uh,
Piety
of morality.
morality, yeah.
Yeah, so in a way, so maybe they, in order to keep that superiority, so that I don't know, like, so there was this, in a way, bounds are also in a way equated with being the moral compass of society, in a way.
In a way, see, I'm guessing we all need people to look down on, right? I
Mm.
mean, well, look at what's happening in America right now. It's all about othering. It's all about
Mm.
driving people out. Uh, I I do think, and I talk about this in my books quite a bit, and receive a lot of flack about it. But I do think the sense of superiority that most Brahmins have uh, comes from a ridiculous place. I geez, I'm going to get myself into a lot of trouble here. So
Okay.
okay,
No,
yeah,
no, okay. I
yeah.
think we've talked enough of this. Like, I think I don't want to like get too deep on
Mm.
it, but it's just something that you don't get to talk about much. So when the opportunity came, like just to try you out, so we can revisit that later.
Yeah,
So
I really wonder if I've ever spoken about this in public. So,
yeah.
well,
No,
well
actually,
done.
no, actually, this podcast is for that only. Like, we can talk about stuff that feels a little bit uncomfortable, and sometimes I think it makes for better viewing also. So there's a. So
Yeah.
anyway, Prajwal, like, let's pivot a little bit to like your work, and that you've done. So, as far as I know, the novels that I mean, like you wrote the collection of short stories, and then you did Land Where I Flee. Then after that, have you written anything for adults? I know that you said that you were working on like a children book.
Yeah, yeah. So, what happened was I wrote The Gurkha's Daughter, I wrote Land Where I Flee, after which I embarked on a big, unwieldy book.
Okay.
And this was historical fiction. It was based in Sikkim around the time of the annexation.
Oh, really? Hmm.
Now, I had my family of lawyers read it, each one of whom said that it may not be a good idea to publish the book.
Oh, so it's finished.
It's the first draft
Draft.
of it is in my inbox somewhere,
Hmm.
but so
And why
basically,
did they say that, if I can ask?
there are a lot of problems with the book in the sense that I think it's illegal in India to hurt the religious or ethnic sentiments of anybody by way of the written word or speech or something along those lines.
Sounds like Salman Rushdie.
Well, I mean, see, that's the other thing. I mean, I had to make the decision between being a good son and a great writer. For now, I chose to become a good son for the simple reason that I don't want my family house incinerated. I also do not think that the current political climate in India
Hmm.
is helpful to producing books on somewhat controversial subjects.
Hmm. Okay.
Uh, Depending on whom you ask, we either willingly became a part of India or were annexed by India in 1975.
Hmm.
The fact that we don't even talk about it freely should give you an indication of where things are.
Hmm.
Uh, so I did write a draft of a book and decided to abandon the project. Now,
Abandoned, or is it like cold store
I mean,
for?
let's say it's been aborted for a while.
Okay.
There were other things also that were happening. See, when I wrote The Gurkha's Daughter and Land Where I Flee, writing was not a profession then. It was something I did out of love. It was
Hmm.
something I did out of passion. For better or for worse, the little success that the two books garnered made writing a profession. It was
Hmm.
something I was doing in order to earn money. And so the excitement to sit down on the computer and type words, even if they may not be read by anybody,
Hmm.
disappeared. I knew when I was working on this book that no
Hmm.
matter what I wrote, it
Hmm.
would be read. I
Hmm.
mean, which is a pretty narcissistic way of approaching your craft.
Hmm.
But I started visualizing my reader, my ideal reader,
Hmm.
and that might have scuppered my creativity somewhat.
Hmm.
Okay.
So in a way, you're a victim of your own success a little bit. Like,
Oh, I mean, I,
and I'm not
I,
saying like any.
I mean, of whatever little success there was,
Hmm.
I do think that I tremendously enjoyed writing
Hmm.
when there was all that uncertainty, when there was,
Hmm.
I was ignorant of how the writing world functioned.
Mm.
When I started writing The Gurkha's Daughter, I embarked on the book because I just quit my job in New York and traveled around a bit. You can't be South Asian and travel around too much. I mean, your parents' questions of what you're doing with your life is are going to be never ending.
Yeah.
So I pretty much started writing the book in order to shut my parents up. Ek
Mm.
kitab likh dechu.
Mm.
That sort of legitimizes your existence.
Mm. Nice. Okay.
The parents are happy that the son is not faffing around. Ek kitab likh decha hare. So, they laugh about it. But yeah, so there was a book there, and I will potentially revisit the book 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now.
Mm.
I'm hoping that India will be a lot more receptive to uh, conflicting narratives of a historical of events of historical significance.
Mm.
But at the moment, I value my mental health somewhat. I value my parents' safety, which might make me a bit of a coward. It might make me a fraudulent writer, but so be it for now.
I mean, yes, thank you for your honesty. So, is the book autobiographical? Like,
No, that one isn't. I mean, this one is based in the 1960s and the 70s. I was born in the 1980s.
No, in the sense like your family is also in the book?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Was The Land Where I Flee, was that autobiographical? Like, is your family in that book?
No, not in the sense. I do think there are bits and pieces of me in everybody there, especially in the writer character there. There is, but I wouldn't say, and this is a very pretentious way to answer questions. I understand,
No, I mean, my questions also
No,
like
no,
it
no.
requires
Your
like
questions have been perfectly wonderful. I do, when writers say, oh, there are bits and pieces of me in every one of the characters, I feel like slapping them left and right. But I am being honest when I say that there is a bit of me in all the characters there.
Sure, okay.
Yeah. And it was a fun book to write. It was a book that just flowed out of me. I do not think that it has quite the artistic merits of the Gurkha's Daughter. I do think that in terms of literary quality, the Gurkha's Daughter is the superior book. But A Land Where I Flee was just so much fun.
Yeah, and it's also it's also fun to read also like
I'd say it's a fun book. I mean, there are some sentences that are a bit overwrought, but that's what happens when you go to a creative writing masters. When you're writing to impress your peers, you're writing in order to trigger gasps out of your writing group sat around your conference table, and so on and so forth. So yeah.
So the Gurkha's Daughter, like I mean, though it's in this Himalayan, Eastern Himalayan belt, but it's very varied, like, from the Bhutanese thing to Kalimpong, so Darjeeling story, Gangtok. So I was just wondering, like, and some of the characters are way beyond in a way, your comfort zone, like somebody very poor, or like a woman, or like a refugee. So I was just wondering, like, how do you do a lot of research, or is it inspired by a spark that you meet somebody and then you let your imagination flow from there? So, or maybe there are different influences for different stories, or
A bit of both. A bit of both. For example, I've written about Bhutanese refugees, right? So when I started writing that story, it read like a mind-numbing UN report. There were so many facts and figures. That's when I realized that I needed to distance myself from all the books I was reading, all the people that I'd interviewed. Oh, sorry, I hadn't really interviewed people then. So when I wrote the first draft, it would have put everyone to sleep. That's when I decided, okay, I need to get out of Gangtok. I was in Gangtok then. asked my mom to take me to one of her relatives in Damak in Nepal.
Mm.
Damak is also where the International Organization for Migration has these refugee camps,
Mm.
where Nepali-speaking Bhutanese refugees had been languishing in a state of statelessness for more than 2 decades.
Mm.
So I actually went to the camps at Kudnabari, that was the name of the place.
Mm.
Stayed there, interviewed the people, and I am really glad I did that because it changed the story completely.
Mm.
It humanized the story, so to speak.
Mm.
But then there are other times you marry the quirks of an eccentric aunt with that of a ridiculous friend, and voila, you have another character.
Mm.
So, see, we live in a part of the world where uh, which is rife for fiction.
Mm.
Case in point, Chetan Raj Shrestha's second book, The Light of His Clan,
Mm.
which is this very political book about Sikkim.
Mm.
And I keep revisiting it and keep talking to people about it. You know, there is a I don't know if this is a PG-13 if I have to keep myself PG-13, but then there is this portion in the book where a man gets mad and goes Yako Zumra Otoharu or something, okay, in the book.
Mm.
And I mean, the way he's encapsulated that in English, it's so beautiful. So I do think that we're lucky that in this part of the world, we're lucky that not much has been written about this part
Mm.
of the world in English fiction.
Mm.
So no matter what, we're amongst the first people to do it, and I'm grateful for that.
Hmm. What got you, or you mentioned it like when you're talking formally that you worked with Weekend Review when you were 14 years old. So was
Not worked. Yeah, carry on,
yeah,
carry on.
so you started writing. So when did you realize that writing was a thing, and is that something that you might kind of like, or you were interested in it, or you had a talent in it, or whatever that realization was that you and writing had a connection?
It's I mean this it's innocently sad that when you were growing up in Gangtok back in the day, you couldn't even think of being a
Exactly.
writer.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
You just couldn't,
Yeah.
right? And I was a good student in a weak class.
Mm-hmm.
It so happened that I was a good student because of my English marks.
Mm.
Again, I grew up in a family of lawyers, so language played a role.
Mm.
You know, the idea of participating in elocutions and debates and winning essay competitions
Mm.
was always more attractive to everyone in the family, including my parents,
Mm.
than, say, coming first in school.
Sports. Okay.
Yeah, so there was a bit of it was a strange family in the sense that my parents encouraged us to fight back with them,
Mm.
argue with them. There
Awesome.
was so relatives around had a massive problem with the way we were being brought up.
Mm.
ए नानीहरू गति छाडा भइसक्यो
Mm.
के अरे बाउ आमाले के भन्छ
Mm.
एन्ड नानीहरूले मान्दैन प्याच प्याची भन्छ ब्याक
Mm.
so there was all that when we grew up.
Mm.
Now I was a good reader. I read everything as a kid.
Mm.
So you had your Enid Blyton books, and then you had your Pran comics, the Chacha Chaudharys and Billus and Pinkies before you graduated to Tinkles and Archies and Hardy Boys and so on and so forth. Uh, I joined TNE in class 4. I was in Baha'i school until then.
Mm.
And our class teacher was someone called Mrs. Pemanamgel. So she taught us everything except math and Nepali, right? She realized that I had a gift long before I did.
Mm.
And we used to have an essay class, a composition class every Saturday. Uh, instead of assigning me to write one essay, she would ask me to write two during the 40-minute break. So when a teacher sort of realizes that you are, I mean, I wouldn't say better than everyone else in class, but that you have a
Talent,
facility,
yeah, yeah.
talent with the language, with writing, I mean, that instills great confidence in you. And to this day, I credit my English teachers at TNA for having made me a writer. So this was in class 4. Around the time I was in class 10, I think this was in class 10, uh, the Himalayan Weekend Review came out. That's what it was called first,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
think, right? And that publication is responsible for having made light readers out of a lot of young people in Gangtok. It so happened that a newspaper wala would come to TNA every Thursday or Friday hawking uh, the Weekend Review, right? It used to be 5 rupees back in the day. Everybody would have a copy. It was almost seen as a cool thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See, because there was a crossword puzzle
Yeah,
there. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it
yeah.
was Amit Oberoi who was in charge of the crossword puzzle, and solving the crossword puzzle got you a voucher at a local
Street in
restaurant.
Oberoi, yeah, I think. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
it was the Oberoi's. There was one restaurant in a building in Namnang, which was another one. Yeah, and so that was there. You solved the crossword puzzle, and then it also so happened that a couple of people started writing for the Weekend Review. These kids at TNE, and I went to a cyber cafe. I don't think we had a computer at home then, 1999, and did that thing where I hunted and pecked an entire article, typed an entire article and then sent it out, and it was something as infantile as Gangtok not being a happening place. And I'm so grateful to Mr. Pema Wangchuk for having published that, because the flex that you got when you published in the Weekend Review as a 15-year-old, I the joy that I got out of that was unrivaled. And then I grew up reading these writers. Tenzin Sitashi would write all these historical pieces. There was Karchung, who wrote some very, very funny pieces that I can still
I remember him
remember.
doing reviews, music reviews,
Oh, music reviews and
film
film
reviews.
reviews,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
There was Sarah Busnett, there was Tashi Chopel, there was Mita Zulka. I remember my English teacher, Miss Kaur, Parvinder Kaur, used to do the book reviews. I remember she had a massive problem with Jhumpa Lahiri's The Namesake having won the Pulitzer back in the day. This was some 25 years ago.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There was a sentence there along the lines of, but a Pulitzer! Exclamation point. So it was quite wonderful that I grew up reading these writers, and I would read and reread these pieces. And of course, I mean, what you read affects you, right? You absorb what you read. So, yeah, while there was absolutely no inclination to be a writer growing up, I knew I was somewhat good at it. And part of the reason was because of the teachers at school, and because I was also getting these avenues, like the Weekend Review. So it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a tremendous confidence
So
booster.
Weekend Review played a part.
Absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
it's funny you say that, because now I remember when I first came here, there wasn't any Weekend Review, just Sikkim Herald, but there was a publication from Kathmandu called Himal.
Oh, yeah.
Kanak
Yeah,
Mani Dixit.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was before Himal went South Asia, and
Sure,
so
sure.
it was a very thin, like black and white. You can make out it was done on a shoestring budget, but it was very stimulating. and many things beyond your comprehension, but that's what made it interesting, and the one that you want to carry around in a back
Sure.
pocket and
Yeah.
like read it and try and make sense of it. This guy's saying something important, let me try and understand it. So it really like Weekend Review, Himal, these magazines, they play such an important role now, I realize, in the
Yeah.
cultural kind of landscape and the development of a place, and so just continuing with, I know we are going all over the place, but you're writing. Do you write still? Like,
Yeah, I write a column for the Hindu.
okay.
It's been quite interesting. I didn't write for a very long time
Hmm.
after I had to shelve my book.
Hmm.
You know,
So
there
how
was
long did that take? This book that was
that
short.
I worked on it off and on for about 5 years.
Hmm.
5 years.
Hmm.
And then
So how does that feel? Like, you spend you put so much into something, and then you take a call to, okay, like I'll just like not do it. So does it?
it's traumatic.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it was extremely dispiriting. But the one solace I received was I realized every writer worth his or her salt, worth their salt,
Hmm.
has a shelved project somewhere.
Hmm.
So I only started speaking about this publicly around last year when news of my next book, a children's book, did
Hmm.
the rounds.
Hmm.
And I kept it to myself,
Okay.
would
Okay.
only speak about it with a few writer friends.
Hmm.
It helped that almost every one of them, okay, without exception, every one of them had a project that they'd spent a few months on or a few years on
Hmm.
and had put in a back burner.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it was extremely demoralizing
Hmm.
because the book was there
Hmm.
and I was very excited about it and I had done copious research,
Hmm.
spoken to tons and tons of people. Uh, uh, so that was there. But then I realized again, when it is something that you like, you revisit it.
Hmm.
So I didn't write for say 4 or 5 years,
Hmm.
and something happened last year, about say a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
I started writing prolifically again.
Nice, nice, nice. That's
It's
good to know.
it comes and goes, I guess.
Hmm.
By now, I've been doing this for long enough to know that once that burst of inspiration hits,
Yeah.
you shouldn't let go of it.
Hmm.
Just catch it, exploit
Hmm.
it. Yeah. So I do. I write. I've also been taking a stab at some
Hmm.
translation. Uh,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
From
I
which language to what?
Nepali to English.
Okay.
Nepali to
So
English.
what are
It's
you translating from Nepali?
so I attempted a short story by Shivakumar Rai.
Hmm.
Again, it was one of the most challenging things I've done.
So is it easy for you to read in Nepali?
Okay, see, isn't this tragic that here we are, two Nepali speaking people who
In
are more
English, yeah,
comfortable
I know.
speaking in English than in Nepali, right? It's
You want to
the
switch to Nepali?
we could.
I was in the beginning, I was thinking, but I was thinking it'll be much more easy to talk in English, and we might miss out like nuances. So I just
No, whatever it's quite interesting. So again, I do think that things are changing somewhat. You went to St. Paul's, I went to TNA. Were you caned when you used Nepali in school?
yeah, you're not allowed to speak Nepali. Yeah,
See, to me, that's slightly problematic.
yeah,
I
it
do
is. Yeah.
think things are changing somewhat.
Hmm.
I was in Kathmandu about a year and a half ago, and there were these elite schools in Kathmandu that were perfectly comfortable with you speaking both Nepali and English as long as you did a fantastic job of it.
Hmm.
So the fact that we worked on our English at the cost of our
I
mother
know.
tongue is a
Hmm.
bit
Yeah,
tragic.
it is. It is.
But I mean that's what it is everywhere in the colonized world,
Yeah.
right? We're no exceptions here, so no point feeling too smug about ourselves. I used to be decent in Nepali. I
Hmm.
used to pride myself in knowing the spellings, the
Hmm.
chotai, badai, the raswa, dirgha,
Hmm.
and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
But I lost touch,
Hmm.
of course. It was difficult getting back to it, but I mean, I can read parara,
Hmm.
then I stumble on a word or two.
Hmm.
Uh, I wouldn't say I'm embarrassed of how badly I read Nepali.
Hmm.
It's one of those things that uh, get better with
Hmm.
practice.
But you never thought of writing in Nepali, or is that anything on your mind ever?
Again, see, like one, I mean, Nepali is such a delicious language, right? Nepali is
It
such
is,
a
huh? Like as a
rich
writer,
language.
yeah, okay.
I
So,
just
so, so, so,
use,
why do you say that? When you say like Nepali is a delicious language, you
I
mean
mean, talk about our
expressive?
onomatopoeic deliciousness,
Hmm.
right? I
Hmm.
just said parara. We
Hmm.
laugh golala.
Hmm.
We spit piazza.
Hmm.
All right. We sit tatsaka. There is so much beauty there. I mean, how do you translate golala hasio to
Hmm.
English? Laugh uproariously, that barely does an
Yeah, yeah.
adequate job. So I am very, very proud of the language. I'm extremely fond of it. It's a tragedy that I couldn't write in it at a level higher than, say, a grade 12 student's
Hmm.
level, which is why I do the next best thing. I write about my language in English. I
Hmm.
talk about the onomatopoeic heavy Nepali of usage of Nepali words in English,
Hmm.
and it's I do think that attempting these translations has given me a new respect for the language.
Hmm.
And again, I don't know if anything is going to come of this, but
Hmm.
it is sort of fun to see. Sorry, without getting too technical, I will have to let you know that a big chunk of my characters actually speak in Nepali,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
You spoke about characters who were very far removed from me, these
Hmm.
extremely deprived people,
Hmm.
women who had been cast out of their homes, and
Hmm.
so on and so forth. They're all speaking in Nepali,
Hmm.
right? They're often speaking in Nepali.
Hmm.
Perhaps the characters in Land Where I Flee were people like you and me who speak in English, but in The Gurkha's Daughter, at
Hmm.
least 80% of the characters speak in Nepali.
Hmm.
So there is a translation that's happening
Hmm.
even when I'm
Writing.
writing,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um, आमाले बिरालोको दुध खुवाएको थियो कि क्या हो, said Anamika to this squeaky voiced uh, gunda
Hmm.
screaming at her,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Had your mother fed you cat's milk? I mean, I try to capture some of the essence in English.
Hmm.
Of course, a lot of the nuances do get lost,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's fun.
Okay, okay, okay. So, Prajwal, like when you look back now over time, so who have been, say, writers who kind of like stand out for you, like who've been in a way, what do you say, like landmarks for you, like in your journey?
In my journey,
You want to start like
from the very
chronologically? Yeah, yeah.
beginning. Okay, so I still have a memory of my parents reading Puss in Boots to me.
Uh,
Okay, this was when I was 2 or 3.
hmm,
That is there, and then I graduated. What is interesting is I also grew up on a lot of bad books.
hmm,
Okay, I mean, you may have had your Enid Blytons, but I also had these badly written books at home. There used to be a publication called Champak back in the day.
hmm,
When I come to think of it, I mean, that's the kind of writing that I wouldn't encourage youngsters to read now.
hmm,
But I'm glad it was there. And, it was, again, a bit of a flex, spotting errors there when sleeping pills were spelled as slipping, SLIPPING pills, and you chanced upon all that. It was a big boost to your morale. So after that, it was, of course, Enid Blyton, Amar Chitra Katha, Tinkle, before Archie's and the foreign books started. And then The God of Small Things came out in 1997. So this was
So you
Arun.
were in you were
I was 13 or
college?
14
Oh,
then.
really?
Yeah, I
And
may
and
not have
and
understood it fully.
oh,
I do not think
but you
my.
tried reading it at
I
least.
did, I did. I remember reading the chapter on optimism and pessimism and not really understanding it very well. It was only when I revisited The God of Small Things in 2006. So this was right around the time Kiran Desa's The Inheritance of Loss had come out. I was 21 or 22 that I fully comprehended the genius of the book. And uh, so like a lot of people in this part of the world, we read Jeffrey Archer's and Sidney Sheldon's and Mario Puzo's like
Yeah.
they were great works of literature, and I'm really glad for that. Then the writers I mentioned in the weekend review, I remember when I got back in touch with Pema Wangchuk of the weekend review. I think the weekend review evolved into Sikkim now after a certain
Yeah,
point.
yeah, yeah.
Am I right? Yeah.
At
And
least Pema was the editor of Sikkim
yes,
now,
of
so I think
Sikkim
yeah,
now.
you
And
yeah.
Pema started sending me the PDFs of now. And then I chanced upon a story there called A Victimized Transfer. Okay? And it ends with she eloped. Te pani bote sita. And the writer was someone I'd never heard of called Chetan Raj Shrestha.
Oh.
And I wrote to Pema Wangchuk immediately asking who the writer was. That's a fantastic story. It turns out it was our Chetan Raj Shrestha. So I, again, may not have read Chetan growing up because I'm guessing he was away in Sydney or at university back then. But so yeah, and once I went to university, of course, I started reading Steinbeck and Dickens and Thackeray and Austen and so on and so forth. I used to read everything I got my hands on.
So is there any one or two kind of like your what do you say, like your go to, or somebody that you really feel, I mean, like someone's work that really
It's quite
speaks to
interesting.
you?
Again, when I was writing The Gurkha's Daughter, I was also reading A Suitable Boy simultaneously.
So actually, I thought it was suitable when you said that I'm writing this mega novel,
Yeah,
the one that
yeah,
you
yeah,
abandoned.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I straight away I thought suitable boy. Is it like?
So, it was there. I mean, it was quite, I mean, I was traveling a bit then, so it was pretty stupid to carry a book as big as A Suitable Boy everywhere. But there was something comforting about the fact that Vikram Seth was right, or Vikram Seth wrote a book that was so simply, deceptively simple. There was not a single sentence that you had to read twice. And to this day, every so often, I pick up a random chapter and read it. Who are the other writers I perpetually revisit? I still do not mind reading Enid Blyton. I don't know. It's sort of I mean, it's my childhood in a book, basically, right? Uh, then every so often I do revisit Jane Austen. I also tend to read a lot of the stories that come out in the New Yorker. And see, I'm teaching fiction now, right? So I read a number of these stories with my students. So that's always fun. It's quite lovely to have the perspective of an 18-year-old versus uh, your own perspective. And so this is what always happens. Who are some of the writers you perpetually revisit? And for sheer craft alone, I often read Nabokov's Lolita.
Nabokov, okay.
Yeah, Vladimir Nabokov. For the beauty of his sentences alone, and yeah, that is there.
Is there anybody from South Asia, Nepal, this region, like, recently who's kind of like caught your eye?
Oh, so we've recently who's caught there's a lot happening. There's Nikhil Pradhan from Gangtok who writes these unputdownable books.
Hmm.
All right. There from let me think of a few others from South Asia recently. Okay, this is going to make me a highly unpopular writer. I know I have a list somewhere. I can't think of it. Uh, I promise you, I'll text you after
Okay,
this.
okay.
This always happens.
No, no, no. It's
Yeah. No, there are many who are coming up with. There was Madhuri Vijay who wrote Far Field a couple of years ago. That was very good. I think there's a
Did you read the one which is based in Kalimpong? That was Kiran Desai.
Kiran, I think The Inheritance of Loss was an extraordinary book. I
Hmm.
do think it could have benefited very slightly if Kiran had so much as spoken to a few Nepali speaking
Hmm.
people who were doctors and teachers and lawyers and professors, but
Hmm.
I do think that doesn't take away from how extraordinary the book is.
Hmm.
I do think her most recent books, Sonia and Sonia, was also an excellent book.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, what's your I mean, a lot of people are concerned about AI and, like, okay, architecture, screenwriters, so these guys are going to go out of jobs, it seems. What's your kind of view on AI, this whole thing? Because I have a lot of teachers, I mean, like friends who are teachers, and they don't know what to do with this AI. People are submitting assignments. They know that it's not written by them, but at the same time, they don't know how to approach this.
See, 3 years ago, when I received a perfectly punctuated email,
Hmm.
I would immediately place the person on a pedestal.
Hmm.
When I receive an email with perfect commas now, I immediately become suspicious. It's strange how things are evolving. When I write my piece for The Hindu and I think the transition between sentences is not too good, I let it be these days.
Hmm.
I think to myself, oh, I'm being human. This is a humane era.
Hmm.
Okay, it's a very interesting time.
Hmm.
People, I mean, we spelled the death knell for reading and writing back in the day when we first started printing our books. Okay, and after that we said, oh, reading is going to die when the paperback came out.
Hmm.
After that we said reading is going to die when the internet reared its head. Oh, when television and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
radio reared their head. After that, it was the internet. After that, we said, oh, people are going to stop reading when the Kindle came out. People
Hmm.
are going to stop reading paper books. And now we're saying, oh, people are not going to read and write anymore because AI is doing everything. I think this is the optimist in me, and forgive me for being naive here, but I think we'll go back to the joys of creation one of these days. Maybe
Hmm.
4 years from now, 5 years from now. I uh, I think there will be a period of overcorrection where everyone will write phenomenal sentences.
Hmm.
And after that, people will go, you know what? We don't need to write these perfect sentences, but much rather write flawed sentences that are our own. About 6 months ago, people used to say things like, oh, AI writing does not have any personality.
Hmm.
That's wrong now. I mean, you put
Hmm.
something in on ChatGPT now, and then you'll be surprised at just how much personality it comes up with. My friends do these things
Hmm.
where they ask ChatGPT to write something about my recent trip somewhere in my voice, and ChatGPT mimics my voice by about 80% accuracy.
Hmm. And it's going to get better and better, like,
It is going to
every
get
day.
better
It's
and
yeah.
better.
Hmm.
So I think there will be a period of extreme reliance on AI for about 2 or 3 years, and then it will all go back to the basics. I mean, this is my naivety speaking. It could be that, but I do think we'll go back to doing things from scratch. How
Okay.
do I circumvent that? In class, we've started writing stories with a pen on paper these days. I want students to be able to write with. We're having uh, a spelling test in class. Because these kids all say, "Oh, why do we need to know how to spell? Microsoft Word takes care of everything." So, by that metric, why come to college at all? I mean, why not join the workforce right after high school? I mean, it's not like I've used more than 5% of the stuff I learned in college. You learn, that I learned in my classes in college. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here. But yeah, we're all struggling. But it's also an interesting
Yeah,
time.
yeah. No, because this whole digital technology, social media, internet, in a way, it's changed our reality, a lot. And especially now, I mean, I follow a little bit of politics, and then now do you have this something called like fake news and AI generated. And so last time I met one guy from Nepal, he was just traveling and he was also interested. He wanted to talk to me. So and we were talking, and then so he asked me like something which I couldn't wrap my head around. He's saying like he asked me a question about like in this post-truth world, what do you something. That phrase post-truth world, I mean, I hadn't encountered it before, so I was like, say again, like, what do you mean by post-truth world? He's saying like we live in a post-truth world, like there is no such thing as truth. And I was like, uh, I don't know. I'm not sure whether I agree with that, but then it's true. I mean, like I now when I think of it, like everything has to be verified. You don't know what's actually true
Absolutely.
or what's not. So I got like a bit of a shook up by that thing. Like do you know what I mean? Like this
Of course, of
so
course.
so what do you think about this whole like news scenario? This whole I don't know. Like last time I had to talk with the Gen Z people, like
Yeah,
who grew up on social media, and a lot of their the way that they behave is also in a way they're looking for validation, but on social media, so they do things in a very self-conscious way, like
sure.
so they're not kind of spontaneous. Yeah.
I don't know. I think even I'm guilty of that. I have done my share of distancing myself from social media. I remember I was the happiest when I had completely shut off all my social media accounts for about a year and a half, but then I had to get back on it because I had to promote something. But again, I am hoping this is the crescendo,
Mm,
and there will come a time. I'll give you an example. I have had trouble getting beyond 30 pages of a book without checking my phone.
mm,
It so happened that I had to judge a literary prize this year. What I started doing was switching off my phone every time I had to read for the prize.
mm,
So until I got through 50 or 60 pages of the book, I would not even switch my phone on. It helped tremendously. Okay, the fact that so much of how we live is for social media consumption drives me insane. The food you eat has to be photographed, but I'm guilty of it all. I do some of it too. And a part of me is sort of relieved that I'm the age that I am, that I'm in my early 40s now,
mm,
and do not have to look at social media for the kind of validation that these youngsters do.
mm.
But I sound like a broken record there. I'm hoping that this is the crescendo,
Yeah, yeah.
and I you've reached the epoch, and then things are going to get better now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even I'm an optimist that way. So even though there's a war raging and it seems like everyone's gone crazy, and you live in the USA half the time, so you might be closer to some things that's happening in the world today. So I don't know, I don't want to put you in a spot and talk about this war and your ideas on um, this Israel, all that stuff that's happening. But do you have some kind of insight into what's happening today? Like being
I
from New York
really
and being.
don't. It's again, like, this is this. I was talking about this with someone the other day. I'd rather be ignorant and unhappy than knowledgeable, ignorant and happy than knowledgeable and unhappy, given what is happening
I
and
know.
around the world.
Hmm.
I mean, it's easier said than done, of course. I do start my day by going to the New York Times website.
Hmm.
I do scan the news, and sometimes I do spend hours and hours uh, with uh, with the crap that's happening around me. But uh, after a certain point, I mean, the fact that we're living in this world and how normalized everything has become, aren't we
Hmm.
fighting two wars right now? And I mean, maybe there are innumerable smaller wars that we know nothing about, right? It's
So
become
the two wars you're talking about,
there's
Iran
Russia,
and Ukraine.
Ukraine,
Hmm.
and there's
Okay, okay.
Iran and
Hmm.
Israel, and whatever is happening there. It's uh, it's hard. I often try to distance myself from it
Hmm.
again, which uh, it's one of the reasons I didn't want to become a journalist
Hmm.
because then uh, uh, yeah, you can't really take cover in fiction the way I do, right?
Hmm.
You're reporting about things happening in the real world. I value my sanity. I value my sleep very much,
Hmm.
uh, which is why I purposefully try maintaining a distance from everything that's happening around. And
Hmm. No, I think that's a sane approach also. But when you look, uh,
it's a cop out. It's wise, but a bit of a cop out, don't you think?
mm, no, it's like switching your phone off. I don't know whether that's a cop out or not. Like in a way, it's a
Yeah,
brave thing to do.
exactly. Yeah.
But because the other, for me, what's disturbing is this whole. Before we felt that democracy and this we that's where we want to move, and then suddenly it seems like there's a U-turn, and it's all authoritarian kind of regimes everywhere, and democratic countries are kind of like receding into the background. So that's a little bit disturbing trend for me. I hope like you're saying that this is the worst, and we're going to kind of land up in
Yeah,
a better
I think
place.
so. Yeah.
I think that's the only thing. And Prajwal, I was just thinking, okay, let's not get there. I was thinking that we could wrap up by coming back to Sikkim. And from your point of view, from you go in and out of Sikkim, you appreciate a lot of stuff about Sikkim, you're able to see Sikkim objectively. So just to do, it's not a very literary thing, but like what's called a SWOT kind of a thing, what do you think are Sikkim's strengths,
Mm,
or what do you feel like are weaknesses?
sure.
So
Yeah. Okay, let's focus on the strengths
yeah, yeah,
first,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Then we'll go into the weaknesses. I do think that so I am ashamed that I've taken Gangtok's walkability for granted until now.
Hmm.
Okay, I mean, there are a lot of problems in Gangtok. I'm not going to romanticize the city,
Hmm.
but I do think that the fact that you could walk on a footpath all the way from Ranipul to Vajra
Hmm.
with having to cross the road or encounter vehicles maybe about three times at the most,
Hmm.
3 or 4 times at the most, is something that we should wear as a badge of
Hmm.
honor.
Hmm.
I do think that besides some stretches, like the one from MG Marg to Tibet Road. We are a very, very pedestrian friendly city. I
Nice.
mean, the one from MG Marg to Tibet Road really needs a tiny footpath or something. You know, the cars whiz by dangerously close to you. So I would be hard pressed to find another Indian city that is as considerate of the walker as Gangtok is. So, which leads me to our weakness. We have absolutely no reason to have traffic jams. Okay? Uh, you live in Mile in 6 Mile. I live in Gangtok. I have no reason to get in a car. 95% of the time, I need to do errands around town. I unless and until I need to convey a big box of something or a painting or some, I have no reason to get in a car. I again might make me extremely unpopular, but I do think we should completely ban kids who go to school in the morning and return in the afternoon from being ferried in private vehicles. Again, maybe a drop in the bucket. I do think that it would help tremendously if all the officers going to one building actually went on a bus. It would.
So you're saying the kids should walk?
No, the kids, a school bus.
School bus,
A
yeah.
school bus. I
Yeah,
mean, you know, school buses would accommodate what, 120 students versus a tiny car taking one student. Again,
Yeah.
could be. I do think that would help things somewhat. Again, not to put too fine a point on it, but I do think that your viral suggestion for ropeways is the way to go. I can understand how intimidating the project might be for the authorities, but I think there's something there. Our I honestly think we have a major problem with the road snapping. You know, again,
But that also has to do with, or you know, we do have a fragile geology, you know, like in the sense it rains, and
the road snapping
yeah,
too.
so the landslide. So yeah,
Do you really think that we are as tied as we claim to be when it comes to
roads?
the road snapping? Yeah.
No, actually, in the sense like we use the same technology. See, that's one of the things, like, you know, we fail to recognize that a place like Sikkim, place like Darjeeling is very different from like the plains in India, you know. So what happens is like the contractors now, because of the defense of Nathula and all that, so they have these contracts to build roads. Like if you go from this Pakyong, Pachikani side also, they have these big 4-lane roads, you know. So in a way, we might wanting to be thinking about like technology appropriate for our context. So, for example, instead of having such a broad road, you can have two roads, you know, one going this way and the other one going this way, so that you don't have to do too much of like cutting and filling. So
Yeah.
that's what creates the landslides, you know, when you create an unnatural kind of a slope and then the monsoons come. So maybe there is a technology kind of step that we need to take in order that these roads, but because most of these roads which are just on the ground, and that is one. The other thing is drainage, like, you know, landslides happen because of drain. So if that's happened, so I think we've not been that way technologically savvy enough, maybe. Roads, yeah, so I don't know about that.
I have a question for you as an architect.
Yeah.
How is it that the roads in Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh are so much better than ours? Could it be because the roads are a lot older than ours?
Are they better?
They are. They're significantly better.
I had a chance to go to Dharamsala. That was many years ago. I haven't been. I've been to Himachal recently. So I found the geology over there a little bit more stable than Sikkim. You know, like, so we were doing some construction work. So it seemed like more in Nepali, Boseko Jaga. It seemed a little bit more
Baseko.
Boseko. While over here, like certain areas, you just do a little bit of like scratching and then things start like falling down. It's not.
Okay.
It's like fragile. It's like the young fold mountains or the you know, that kind of a thing. So the Himalayas are still in the process of being formed. So it's not like go to South India, it's like everything is, there's no landslide. Even when you go to Shillong, Meghalaya, so I think that's on the other side of the fault. Like, so it's like very volcanic, very red
Sure.
thing. So when you talk to them about landslide, they don't know what
Yeah,
landslide
yeah,
is, you
yeah,
know. So,
yeah.
so it could have to do with that.
Yeah, would you say okay? So okay, that puts things in perspective. Uh, uh, where were we? Sorry.
So we are doing a strength weakness kind of a
Oh,
thing.
the weaknesses that I mean, yeah, like
You're
we
talking about
are
Gangtok, but Sikkim
Sikkim,
in
Sikkim.
general, like when you, the people kind of a thing, when you,
Oh, uh, I mean, we don't talk about this often, but I have been hearing from many sources that the drug addiction rates
yeah.
in the state are through the roof.
Hmm.
Uh,
So
so
is the suicide
yeah, yeah. I
statistics, yeah.
mean, I think a few years ago we were second only to Kerala
Hmm. Hmm.
as far as suicide rates went.
Hmm.
So yeah, there are all these problems that we forget
So is
simply
this,
because
can
there's
you kind of like basket this as a mental health kind of a
I
thing?
I think so. Again, and I do think social media has a big role here.
Hmm.
Earlier kids were missing out on things, but they didn't realize what they were missing out on.
Hmm.
Now that they can see someone they know get on a flight to Bangkok at the drop of a hat,
Hmm.
and they do not have the resources to do that, that's bound to affect you. I
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
and I know several of my friends are educators and they've been speaking about this, and I also yeah, there's a big mental health crisis. That's everywhere that's in a lot of places in India right now, no doubt. But I also think we need to talk about it more freely.
Yeah. Hmm.
Say you're feeling out of sorts, you need to be able to give voice to it. You need to be able to talk about it with someone in much the way you would if you were not feeling okay physically.
Hmm.
So there is a stigma there
Hmm.
that
Addressed, yeah,
needs to
sure.
be taken care of.
Yeah,
Sikkim
yeah.
as a whole, uh, by and large, as someone who's walked around West Sikkim a fair amount,
Hmm.
I've done the Yuksum to Peling, Yuksum to
Zombie.
Kichipuri, Kichipuri to, Peling to Yuksum, Yuksum to Kichipuri. And
Hmm.
so I actually went into the Bastis. I do think by and large, absolute poverty is has been, I mean, I wouldn't say eradicated, but it's
Yeah,
very,
it's
very,
better. Yeah, yeah.
it's quite difficult to encounter absolute poverty in Sikkim. Thank
Hmm.
God for that. I was recently in Meghalaya.
Hmm.
Uh, when you think of Shillong, you think of this very Western, very wealthy city
Hmm.
with beautiful houses, people speaking English, playing the piano, and so on and so forth, right? But then I realized that the state of Meghalaya is impoverished.
Hmm. True.
Uh, it's apparently the second poorest state in the nation. It's the poorest state in the nation after Bihar.
Hmm.
And you could see it
Hmm.
on the outskirts of Shillong. You could see it in these little villages. There
Hmm.
was absolute poverty.
Hmm.
We don't have
Hmm.
that. I think
Yeah, that's
I
true.
think we've uh, eradication might
Hmm.
be
Hmm.
too euphemistical a word, but I
Hmm.
do think it's been
Yeah, yeah.
properly curtailed,
Hmm.
right? Strength, other analysis. I mean, yeah, we've done a great job with tourism, but now it might be time to contain it a little. It might be
Hmm.
time for us to do it
In
in
a
a
different
slightly
way.
different way.
Yeah. So how would you do it differently? Like,
No, I am thrilled that homestays have
yeah.
become such a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in Aritar a few years ago. I
Hmm.
flew into the Pakyong airport and then we took the road to Aritar. I was floored by these hotels everywhere, calling themselves homestays. And I mean, these were 37-room hotels. I mean, there was nothing homestay about them. I mean, more power to the entrepreneurial skills of the people there. But I do think that it might make sense for us to go the Bhutan way a little. Again, I mean, uh, that's a very naive way of looking at things when the tourism industry's bread and butter is actually the budget tourists from West Bengal and Bihar here,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, we have a Taj, we have the Hyatt coming up. So yes, we are trying to attract high-end tourists. Uh, does that mean we could do that at the cost of the budget tourists?
Yeah.
No, we can't.
Yeah, because Prajwal, the other thing about budget tourists, besides being friendly for being more inclusive for the traveler who doesn't have much money. So I was in Bhutan, and what I noticed was that the budget tourists, it benefits like the high-end tourism in Bhutan, it benefits the big hotel owners, the
Of
travel
course,
trade,
yeah.
and okay, then they employ guides and all that. But over here, the budget tourists, like they patronize these small shops,
Of
like
course, the aloo chura wala,
exactly,
the
yeah.
singara dokan,
Yeah.
right?
So
Yeah,
the budget, because the high-end tourist is not going to go for that,
yeah, yeah.
So that way your small momo shop or like somebody selling tea on MG Marg or something like that. So
Yeah.
that way it does benefit
No,
the
absolutely.
population.
I think home homestays as homestays is a wonderful thing. If uh, about a kilometer and a half corkscrew from Khichipudi is a tiny homestay called Sonam's Homestay. Okay, uh, you cannot. You have to access it on foot.
Yeah.
It's not
You stayed
motorable.
there?
I stayed there. Have you stayed there?
I've heard of the place. I want to go there.
Yeah,
Is it nice?
it's quite amazing. I mean, it's a two room hut. I mean, I wouldn't call a 2-room cottage. What has happened is the homestay culture that germinated from this place has spread in the entire village.
Nice.
So when they have no beds, they send us over to the and this was 10 years ago, I think, and Sonam was telling me he was making about 3 lakhs a year.
That's
And he was thrilled with the kind of money he was making. And not just that, he was able to elevate the entire, I think it was a collection of 5 or 6 cottages, a number of them his relatives. So a number of these people were actually making a living, were able to make in 3 months what they would have made in the rest of the year. So, yeah, but I also think just plonking down the statue of Shiva and Padmasambhav and what have you. I remember reading something along the lines of there was a face-off between the statue of the Shiva and the Padmasambha in Namchi, right? I mean, I wish we would focus more on preserving what can be preserved as opposed to building a lot of new things. There's again, I understand how attractive a gaudy 700-foot Buddha can be to the budget tourist, but I do think there's a way we can, for the lack of a better term, class it up a little.
Yeah. I know what you mean. So in a way, that's an opportunity, right? So like where Sikkim can grow forward into, and do you see opportunities? What opportunities do you think Sikkim has, like in today's context, the way that we're placed, or like how what we're looking at it from like a view from abroad, that what could be something that Sikkim could kind of like grow into, or like what are the
See, at the end of the day, I do think that irrespective of skirmishes here and there, we are a pretty welcoming people here. I have encountered states in India where xenophobia is rampant.
Yeah.
states in the Northeast where xenophobia is rampant.
Hmm.
I do think that we're a pretty welcoming people here.
Hmm.
I think what we are doing with tourism is excellent, but the few points that I mentioned, uh, we I don't think we have explored trekking in North Sikkim the way we could.
Hmm.
I like the fact that trekking, doing the Kanchenjunga, the Gochala trek,
Hmm.
is, I like the fact that it's still not as mainstream, it's still not as developed as what you would see at the Annapurna base camp or the Everest
Hmm.
base camp in Nepal.
Hmm. Have you been to Coachella?
Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, I've
Hmm.
done it. It was one of the most remarkable experiences of my life.
Yeah.
Have you? Have
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I like the fact that the minute you get to Tsoka or you get to Zongri,
Hmm. You're on your own. Yeah.
there's no network.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no network. How amazing is that? Whereas you're at the Everest Base Camp and then you actually have phone network. So I do think there is something to be said about a rustic kind of trekking,
Hmm.
where you're actually camping or sleeping in these trekking lodges that could be exploited. I do think we could do more of that in North Sikkim.
Hmm.
Someone was telling me the other day that they're trekking around this lake in North
Hmm.
Sikkim. I forget its name.
Gurudongma? No.
No,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no, no, not Gurudambar. I'm talking about the Green Lake
Yeah.
trekking.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Green
I,
Lake.
I
Yeah.
haven't done it.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but is
Hmm.
apparently more spectacular than anything in
Yeah.
West
Yeah. Yeah.
Sikkim.
Yeah. Hmm.
So that is there. See, and again, kids speak decent English, and I think we are in a position to get more foreign tourists that way.
Hmm.
I know that we get more foreign tourists in Sikkim than we do in any northeastern state,
Hmm.
any other northeastern state. But uh, a little bit of okay, we've debunked the high-end tourist myth
Hmm.
already.
Hmm.
So
What about no, no, sorry,
no, no,
yes,
give me some talking points.
no. So
Yeah.
I was like thinking, like you also come from creative writing,
Mm,
and I've been thinking for a while, and I know this for a fact that when we compare ourselves to the rest of the country,
mm.
so our strengths seem to lie more in the creative kind of fields, like music,
Yeah,
photography, architecture, design,
yeah,
maybe writing. So I mean, like, should we recognize that? And I don't know whether that's because I know that Nagaland, for example, they have something called like a music task force. It's
mm, mm,
actually
mm, 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 mm.
they recognize that they have the talent,
Yeah,
and then they train these kids so who can get jobs in as sound producers and as session musicians in Bollywood or something like that. So as a kind of employment thing. So I was just thinking because I have a cousin who everybody had written him off like he's like good for nothing, and and his dad somehow sent him to like a fashion institute in Delhi,
mm, mm.
and this guy he became a star of the school,
Sure,
so he
yeah,
had a talent for like clothes, and like
yeah.
his professors will call him, what do you think of this fabric? And so and then he did very well. So sometimes it's just recognizing like what you are good at or what's naturally your strength, something
Absolutely.
like that. So I
Yeah,
mean, we go for doctor, engineer, I mean, no harm in that,
yeah, yeah.
but maybe there are other things also.
No,
So
true. I do think we are thriving as a creative state, and I do think we could also be a lot better.
hmm,
I mean, we just had a film festival. We
yeah,
are having literature festivals. There are all these events taking place at the creative hub of Gangtok, which is Rachna Books and Publications.
hmm.
I do think there's a
So I
the
think we are naturally growing in that direction, you're thinking,
I,
in a
I,
way.
I think we are. I
That's
think
great.
there was a design week
Yeah,
recently,
there was.
wasn't
Yeah,
there?
yeah, yeah.
I think we are, and that's always a step in the right direction. Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
yeah. I think we are. It's uh,
So, Prajwal, like, is there anything else on your mind, like you want to share with
no, no.
viewers?
Thank you so much. I spoke about a lot of things I normally do not speak about, so I'm hoping I haven't said anything controversial. But thank you for triggering the answers out of me. This has
No,
been
no, no. It was
remarkable.
really nice. Like I've been wanting to have a chat with you for a long time. So hopefully, like we'll stay in touch and we can do things together. So that's
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you so much, Prajwal.
Thank you. Thank you so much.